One of the biggest mistakes gardeners consistently make is assuming that a soil test or a bag of fertilizer tells the whole story. They plant seeds, water, wait, and then panic when growth is uneven or leaves yellow. The reality is that plants themselves have always been the most accurate diagnostic tool in the garden. They react to imbalances long before we notice with meters or chemical kits. Ignoring what your plants are telling you leads to wasted time, wasted nutrients, and uneven harvests. I've spent years observing raised beds, backyard plots, and even hydroponic systems, and the patterns are always the same. The right plants in the right place reveal exactly what your soil needs. Plants reveal more than just nutrient problems. They can, in fact, reveal structural issues too. Uneven root growth, tipping seedlings, or poor flowering often points to compaction or poor drainage. In my own raised beds, carrots that fork excessively almost always indicate stones or uneven soil density. Instead of blaming the variety, I loosen the soil and provide a bit more organic matter. The next planting is, straight and robust. Similarly, in hydroponics, root discoloration or stunted growth signals either pH drift or oxygen limitation. Paying attention to these signals allows for precise adjustments, rather than wasting energy and water on trial and error solutions. You can even use plants to detect contamination and heavy metals. Certain crops, like leafy greens or brassicas, are more sensitive to excess salts or metals. In one small urban garden, spinach and lettuce grew poorly in a corner bed, while tomatoes thrived. Soil testing revealed elevated lead levels, likely from historical paint residue. Using the sensitive crops as a signal prevented broader contamination and allowed me to selectively remediate and rotate crops without losing the entire harvest. Layering observation with minimal testing creates a system that's both precise and low cost. You don't need fancy tools if you're interpreting plant responses accurately. Companion planting can, honestly, amplify diagnostic value. By planting fast-growing indicator plants alongside slower crops, you can monitor soil changes without disturbing your main harvest. For example, planting radishes with slower-growing tomatoes can show early nitrogen deficiencies or pH shifts. If the radishes falter, you know the bed needs attention before the tomatoes are affected. I've used this in small backyard gardens with beds as narrow as 3 feet. Even a single row of radishes in a corner can tell you where soil amendments are needed and where the bed is performing well. In hydroponics, fast-growing leafy greens serve the same purpose. They react first to pH, oxygen levels, and nutrient availability. The lesson many gardeners miss is that plants are continuous sensors. They give feedback throughout the season, not just at harvest. Observing them consistently allows proactive adjustments rather than reactive fixes. Practical implementation is simple, but honestly requires discipline. Set aside small patches in every garden area for indicator plants. Track their growth weekly. Take notes on leaf color, stem robustness, root development, and flowering patterns. Compare across the garden. Note environmental factors like slope, shade, or wind exposure. Use weeds intentionally as part of this system. Identify them, learn their soil preferences, and don't remove them immediately. They tell a story about your garden conditions. Gradually, you'll start predicting nutrient deficiencies, compaction zones, and pH drift simply by observing your plant patterns. Apply corrective measures thoughtfully. If indicator plants show yellowing due to nitrogen deficiency, add composted manure or a balanced organic fertilizer in small doses. If root deformation appears, adjust soil texture with coarse compost or perlite. Watch the same indicators for response rather than relying on calendar-based applications. Even in hydro systems, indicator plants are invaluable. Use a small test tray of fast-growing greens to check nutrient solution strength and pH. Adjust in real time before your main crop suffers. Over time, this becomes more reliable than continuous chemical testing. Pay attention to history and context in your garden. Gardens are ecosystems shaped by past decisions, not just empty plots. Soil problems often have historical causes, previous crops, amendments, or even urban legacies. Plants detect those conditions far faster than meters or test kits, giving you a shortcut to remediation. In my experience, integrating observation with minimal testing produces the best results. You can see patterns develop, correct them, and optimize both productivity and soil health. It's a method rooted in centuries of gardening practice and reinforced by modern experience. When gardeners rely solely on tests or assume soil problems appear only in extremes, they miss subtle issues that affect yield, flavor, and plant resilience. Paying attention to plants as indicators turns the garden itself into a diagnostic tool, saving time, money, and effort. If you want to grow better food and truly understand your garden, start reading your plants. Watch them over weeks and seasons, learn their messages, and respond thoughtfully. These signals are more reliable than any fertilizer label or meter when interpreted correctly. If you found this approach useful, subscribe to Easy Garden Life. Share this video with other gardeners who want to rely on observation, not guesswork, to grow healthier, more productive gardens. By paying attention to what plants tell you, you can anticipate soil problems, correct them early, and consistently improve your harvest.